welcome back to Bookish Brits. My name is Michelle, and for today's video I'd like to take part in Top 10 Tuesday for tomorrow, and this week's topic is favourite all-time authors. Top 10 Tuesday is a weekly feature hosted by The Broke and the Bookish, and I will leave a link down below. So number one on this list, and while I feel like most authors on this list are in no particular order, this first author is definitely my favourite, and that is Melina Marchetta. Love Melina Marchetta. I love, love, love her. She writes some incredibly amazing, emotional stories involving friendship and families and difficult things. I think she's probably most famous for On the Jellicoe Road, but I find that a lot of people think that that is a very confusing book to start off with. Saving Francesca is probably where I would normally suggest that people start if you're new to Melina Marchetta. It's a great story, again, about friendship. Now the second author that I'd like to talk to you about today is Courtney Summers. I adore Courtney Summers, I really, really do. Now I most recently read her newest book, All the Rage, and Please Remain Calm. And if you've watched any of my previous videos on this channel, you'll know that they have ranked amongst my top favorite books read this year already. They're amazing. It was definitely her second book, Some Girls Are, that really clutched my heart in a really visceral way. Now my next favorite author is Sarah Manning. I first read her books, I believe, when Nobody's Girl was first published. a lot of people fell in love with Sarah Manning around the Diary of a Crush era, but because I fell in love with her around Nobody's Girl time, that is definitely where I suggest that you start reading first. The next author that I'd like to talk to you about today is Meg Cabot. First came across Meg Cabot books with the popularity of The Princess Diaries, and I started reading those books and I was absolutely hooked by the great characters and friendships and relationships, but definitely the sort of light touch and humor amongst all of the books. And I really find that with all of Meg Cabot's books. They're incredibly funny as well as being sweet and romantic and a little bit lighthearted. So I can't suggest anywhere else for you to start except for The Princess Diaries. Next up on my list is Kat Clark, an amazing UKYA author. My two favourite books are Undone and A Kiss in the Dark, and that is definitely where I would suggest that you sort of start with her books. Moving on, another favourite author of mine is Zoe Marry It, and Zoe Marry It writes some amazing, amazing fantasy stories, like just amazing. I first came across Zoe Marry It when Shadows on the Moon was first released, and while I think Shadows on the Moon is a great place to start, I think that maybe her urban fantasy series, Name of the Blade trilogy, is probably a great place to start as well. Another favourite author of mine is Jenny Valentine, and I think that Jenny Valentine's stories are very underrated. Really, really love Jenny Valentine, and I hear she's coming out with a new book this year, and I am super excited. Now the next author should be a surprise to absolutely nobody, but one of my favourite authors is definitely Patrick Ness. Now the Chaos Walking trilogy is probably not a trilogy that I would normally have picked up, but I picked up the first book, The Knife of Never Letting Go, on a complete whim when I was still working in a bookstore, and it was incredible. Like, I couldn't breathe sometimes with how excited that I felt when I was reading this book, this trilogy, exploring this world, meeting these characters. I think that A Monster Calls is also a great place to start within Patrick Ness's stories. Another author on my favourite all-time list has to be Tanya Burn. Tanya Burn has written Heart-Shaped Bruise and Follow Me Down. I love both of these books, but I think probably, and either is a great place to jump in. Really, they're both incredible books in very, very different ways. 10th and final author on my all-time favourites list is Jenny Han, the author of the Summer Trilogy and so many more. I recently read To All the Boys I Loved Before, which is the first in a duology, and the second and final book in that series, P.S. I Still Love You, is coming out soon, and I need it, I do. Probably would suggest starting off with To All the Boys I've Loved Before. So that is the list of my all-time favourite authors ever. I would love to hear which authors would make your list. Do we have any overlap going on here? Do let me know in comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.